print radio. Here's a short interview featuring Imprint member Lolita Ditzler talking with author Sherry Derr-Wille.
Thank you, Sherry, for taking time to talk with me. First, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you besides a writer?
I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, I'm a retired receptionist, and I don't do housework.
That's great. When did you know you're a writer?
It was fall of 1961 when I was a sophomore, and it was my English assignment to write for a year. And then they never told me to stop the assignment, so I guess that's when I found out.
How many books have you had published?
This month will be coming out my 67th, and next month my 68th.
How many did you write before you had one accepted?
Many. I signed 17 contracts on old manuscripts the first year.
Do you have an agent?
No.
Why not?
Oh, I tried that route. And all they said was, well, if you rewrote this, and if you rewrote that, and if you did this, and if you did that, and if you send me $200, I'll be glad to do anything for you. And nobody ever did anything for me. And I finally said, I can do this myself.
Well, good. How'd you find a publisher?
Let's see, it was 2002, and I went to a conference, and a lot of my friends were published by Awestruck Books, which I found out was a EPUB. And I sent them the first manuscript, waiting for that letter that says, get out of my face, never darken my door again. And I got a nice reply by email that said, we want Outlaw's Son. And I wrote back and said, there's another book. And they said, we knew it. And so they took Outlaw's Daughter, and before either one of them came out, I wrote Hattie's Preacher. But they weren't the first books to come out. They had a backlog, and so other publishers put books out before they did. And now the first three, Hattie's Preacher, Outlaw's Son, and Outlaw's Daughter, are all being reissued this summer by a new company.
You've had more than one publisher then through the years.
I've had lots. I've fired lots.
Do you have an attorney look at contracts?
No. They're all pretty general. I did the first time, and they're all the same contract. It's pretty general. They keep the ebook rights, and if I want to, I can sign them the print book rights, but I keep the audio rights, I keep the movie rights. Like, nobody's clamoring for movies, but I have the rights.
Are all your books in the same genre?
No. I write in romance, which I have hit just about every genre of romance except Regency. I write family epics, and I write murder mysteries.
Do you have recurring characters?
Oh, all the time. I have a lot of series books. The Outlaw series has recurring characters. Rhonda Poe's Mysteries, the Double M series is all recurring characters. My Little Old Ladies, I've got Indians. I have a lot of series.
Are you a full-time writer?
Kind of, sort of, maybe. Right now I'm writing, I'm editing, I'm mentoring authors. And when the muse is with me, I'm a full-time writer. I've written 2 full manuscripts this year.
Do you keep a regular writing schedule, or?
No, it's just sometimes I get up at 5 in the morning and I write until 8 at night. Sometimes I get up at 5 in the morning and play solitaire till 8 at night.
Where do your stories come from?
Oh, all over. I have no idea. Sometimes I get up in the morning and say, oh, yeah, I need to write that. The new murder mystery that I'm going to start working on pretty soon is Murder in Red Rock Canyon. And I knew probably 5 years ago I was going to write that one. I was in Vegas. I was at Red Rock Canyon. And I knew that one had to be written, but there were four that had to be written before that one.
How many words make up one of your books?
They run anywhere from 45,000 to 125,000, depending on how wordy the characters are.
How long does it usually take you to write your book?
When I'm really in writing mode, I can do 4 to 5 a year. Sometimes I'm not in writing mode and I can only do 1 or 2.
Have you ever had writer's block?
Yes, last summer. We had just found my grandson that had been given away for adoption, and he was in a horrific motorcycle accident. And from the time that happened until December, I could not write a word. And the 1st of December, my characters tapped me on the shoulder and said, "We know who the murderer is, finish the book." And I had it done before the 15th.
Was that your deadline, or it just happened?
It just happened.
You have an alter ego that's Sherry Derr.
Yes.
What type of books does she write?
Naughty books. She writes erotica, and I write in just about every genre of erotica. She's the moneymaker in this proposition. I just lock her in the closet and cash her royalty checks.
You're a Wisconsin woman, married to your high school sweetheart. Where does Sherry Derr get her ideas and inspiration?
I read a lot. Sherry Derr was actually a dare. I had a publisher say to me, "I would like you to write my first Torrid book from my new line." And I sent her the first paragraph of His Slave and the first paragraph of The Pirate's Lady. And the rest, as they say, is history. Then I had to write the darn things. And I can just have any kind of imaginative thing I want, and there's no boundaries. I have to be nicer in the Sherry Derr-Wille books.
Do you have anyone critique your work?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I have a pre-editor before it ever gets sent anywhere. Then I have an editor. And then I have a copy editor. And then I get the galleys and I get to edit it one last time. And by that time, I really hate that book.
Do you belong to any writers' groups?
Yes, I belong to the Janesville Writers Association. And if I ever get my dues in, I belong to the Wisconsin Writers Association.
Have you ever collaborated with other writers?
I write a lot of anthologies. My first anthology turned me off terribly. I wrote with some gals, and there were 12 of us, and it didn't work well. And then I hooked up with 3 gals out of California, and we do an anthology every year set in our mythical town of Aspen Grove, Colorado. This year it's The Art of Love, and my story in there is Lady Jane's Crochet. And I just finished a new one for next year of A Lucky Sixpence for Her Shoe. And my book in that was something new. It's based on something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue.
Writers today also have to do much of their own marketing. How much publicity does your publisher provide?
Absolutely none. They have it on all of the websites. All the electronic sites they take care of. I do Twitter, or not Twitter, Facebook. And I do my own marketing in the field.
What works best for you to market your books?
Being out there saying, "Hey, this is who I am." I do a lot of craft fairs, and I go out and say, "Hi, I'm the Crazy Lady Writer. Come in and look at my books." And they come and look at the Crazy Lady.
You have a website?
Yes.
How did that come about?
That I had, when I first started, they said, "You've got to have a website." And it took me forever to find a good web mistress. I have a gal out east somewhere. I'm not really sure where she's at. I just send her money. That takes care of all my website stuff. I just tell her when to take stuff off and put stuff on. And she's been my web mistress now for probably 10 years.
What do you see as a future for Sherry and for Sherry Derr?
Let's hope she becomes a millionaire and has a movie made. That's not going to happen, but that's what I'd like. In the meantime, I'm just having fun. I'm not making money. You know, the first question everybody asks, "How much do you get paid?" Not enough. But I'm out there having a good time. And let's face it, if I can be doing at 67 what I wanted to do when I was 15, I think I'm very lucky.
Always your dream to be a writer, huh?
Yeah. In my senior year of high school, we did a crossword puzzle, and everything was in rhyme for the clues. And my clue was, "A junction banker is her man. She'll be a writer if she can." My husband worked at the bank.
Oh.
And for my 45th class reunion, I wrote back and said, "The junction banker's still my man. Read my books, become a fan."
What advice do you have for anybody that thinks, "I want to be a writer"?
That's a good question. A lot of patience. A lot of patience. You got to be able to take rejection. And you got to start at the beginning and write to the end, and don't dwell on chapter 1. That is the biggest mistake I've ever seen made I belonged to a critique group, and one woman, every single time she'd come, she'd hand us the same chapter, and she'd say, I changed something in here. Maybe 2 words. You can't agonize over that first chapter because an editor's probably going to tell you to throw it away anyway. So, don't
What about
agonize.
titles? Do you have your own titles, or do they usually change when they're
I have only had one title changed, and that was because Nora Roberts put out a book by the same name.
Don't want to be confused with her?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like people to know that we haven't covered?
Finish the book, finish the book, finish the book. And that's what I tell the kids when I talk to them. That's what I tell writers groups when I talk to them. It's more important than anything else. I had someone ask me the other night if I ever had written a book about writing. And I said no, because what my thoughts are, what somebody else thought, is all a hill of beans. You have your own way of writing, you have your own voice, and the worst thing in the world is somebody can mess with it.
Do you set your books in all parts of the country, or out
Quite
of the
a-
country? Or
Yeah. Wherever the characters tell me, that's where they're at. I have a whole couple of series both set in Montana. I have books set in Texas. I have a book set in the Middle East.
have you been to all those places?
Oh, but the internet's wonderful.
Isn't it, though?
I do have a book set in Norway, and I 2 of them, and I've been there.
Is that your ancestry?
No, I'd like to say it is. No, I'm German and English, and I'm American Indian. But I went to Norway, and I've adopted them. I would go back tomorrow.
Well, thank you, Sherry, for sharing your experiences as a writer.
Well, thank you so very much for having me. This has just been a delightful pleasure.